angle of a business icon, sir. But you being a bureaucrat and a biography, and that too on Mr. Ratan Tata, how did it all happen, sir?
Thank you very much for having me here. I'm very happy to be in Indore, and thank you, Praveenji, for specially inviting me, and also for giving me the opportunity to listen to Dr. Lashmi Madam. She's so inspiring. She's a spokesperson. You know, she's so captivating. I don't know where I would stand as a 100-watt bulb in front of a 1,000-watt bulb. But I will still try, okay? Mine is going to be a very staid topic in comparison to her exciting talk. Now, how did it start? I have just 40 minutes. It's a huge book. It's a great life, a great man, a simple man, yet so complex. Served the nation, served the world, was an icon, was a legend. Now, how did this happen? How did this happen? It's happened because of happen chance. There was nothing preordained. One evening when we were sitting, I had the opportunity of taking my son to his house for dinner. And he started giving snapshots of his life when my son was so impressed, and so was I. And we talked about the need for his life story to be heard by millions across the world. So I turned around and asked him, "Sir, would you consider writing your autobiography?" He said, "No, I'm not going to do that." At a weak moment, he said, "Should you choose to do so, you do it." And that started the journey.
So, did he say no about it?
He said, "If you want to do it, if you choose to do it, you do it," is what he said.
Okay, so the lesson learned is don't miss the opportunity which comes on your way. Just grab it.
No, I don't say just grab it, just embrace it.
Okay, that's the right word. Okay. So, this book contains, I think I've read it, it took me 2 days to read this book, a 700-page. It covers the different facets of Mr. Ratan Tata, from his childhood life to his college life and to his first relationship and the first job as an architect. Which was the most difficult chapter to pen down on his life?
Every chapter was difficult, let me tell you that. But if you look at his life, what is so difficult to unravel, to unpeel, is its simplicity. A complex person can be unraveled easily. A simple person cannot. Every chapter was difficult. The childhood was exciting. There are many lessons for youngsters over here, primarily because he had a tough childhood. He rose up to the challenges. His parents were separated. In the 1940s, when in a conservative society, when parents separate, you're embarrassed in school. He had to face a lot of difficulties, but yet he overcame them. And then he went on to do his college in the United States, came back to India, joined the Tata Group, and he has to face a lot of challenges from the local satraps. Even that he overcame. But you need to understand his life as being that of social service. He's not an industrialist, he's not a businessman. For him, every business emanated from a social need or a social requirement. And he made a business success of the social need in order to ensure that he will fill the vacuum of social need. That is the basic principle on which he moved ahead in his life.
So when you wrote this book, how much time did you spend with him or his colleagues or his friends or his family members?
Maybe countless hours. I've known him, I've had the privilege of knowing him since 1995, 94. So you're talking about 3 decades. And the more you learned about him, the more you knew that you knew less about him. That is what it is. I virtually interviewed everybody who was alive at the time. The Tata veterans, his friends, his colleagues, his admirers, including the Masai Mara chief in a place called Magadi. So over 138 people I interviewed in order to get a real essence of this great man's life.
So when you talk about his simplicity, was he a simple man since his childhood, or because he belonged to a very regal family and with the legacy which he carries, probably nobody could have thought that he could be a very simple man?
No, I don't know how to explain this to you. This is how I conceptualize this man. Born as a prince virtually, living in a place called Tata House, where the pillars, the samples of the pillars were shipped in from Paris for approval, and a house that was unmatched in beauty and splendor. But the irony is that Mr. Tata combined in himself opposing concepts that refuse to normally sit comfortably in a personality. For instance, deep empathy. His heart will go out to the poor. He will consider his duty towards the employees more than he considers it important for him to do good to people at the higher echelons. That is the kind of dichotomy you saw in him. Now, as a businessman, he was very aggressive. But you need to understand that as far as the Tatas are concerned, the entire profit of the group goes towards philanthropy. So you have a man who is aggressive in business, highly compassionate, highly sympathetic, and the money he makes through business goes 100% for philanthropy. That's the complexity of this man.
So, in terms of complexity, what I get to understand from the book is that because of the separation of his parents, he led a very lonely life since his childhood. Did he carry that life throughout his whole life, or he had some different perception about life?
See, I don't know. At times he has told me that he used to feel lonely, but I don't think it is a lonely life. He had a very busy life. He had a full life. He was a passionate flyer. He flew aircraft, took his friends right up to the sky, and then switched off the engine of the plane and dropped it down to almost 100 feet before switching on the engine. That's the kind of pranks this man used to play. And even as Chairman Tata Sons have given an instance where, like in school we do, he bought a water pistol and aimed at one of the board members would sit, and he went under the table as Chairman Tata Sons and fixed it so that when he comes, he will press the trigger and his pants would get wet. So before that could happen, what happened was the attendant found somebody kneeling below the table before the board meeting started. So when he accosted him, fix a water pistol. So that's this man. It's very funny. And then during board meetings, older people, their feet swell. So they have a habit of removing the shoes. So what he used to do is long legs, 6 feet 2, 6 feet 2.5. So he is with the long legs, kick their shoes away. So as soon as the board meeting ended, these old people used to keep searching for the shoes and they wouldn't get. So they had to go under the table searching for the shoes, and he used to laugh. So that's the kind of man he was. But a great visionary, man of great scientific timber. I think he has had no equals according to me. I have an admiration for him. Nevertheless, I think he had virtually no equals in this world.
So people who are not aware, he did his graduation from Cornell, US. So was coming back to India his first choice, a natural love for him, or was he forced to come down to India and take over the businesses?
No, I wouldn't say forced. He was persuaded. Forced is a very strong word. See, he did not want to come to India because he was in love with a Southern Californian beauty called Carolyn Emmons, now Carolyn Jones. Okay, he fell in love with her. And I interviewed her for about 8 to 10 hours. And she said, the first time I saw Mr. Tata, I looked at his face and I was speechless. I wanted to say hello. She says, no, I couldn't. My throat went dry, she said. And that's how the love affair started. He did not want to come to India, but he came for 2 reasons. One, everything in his life he attributes to his grandmother called Lady Navjbai Tata, who was his guiding light. She was unwell. That's one reason. He wanted to come back to be with her when she was unwell. Number 2 is that Lady Navjbai Tata, who was the fountainhead of all the ideology, the principles, etc., which Mr. Tata imbibed and absorbed in his entire life, said that he has a duty to embrace the ideals of the Tata Group and protect it by embracing it unfailingly. So for these 2 reasons, he gave up personal life which you would have loved to live in the US for a higher goal which he thought he was duty bound to fulfill.
So when he came back to India, probably he was not the first choice of the Tata family and even the professionals who were employed in the Tata Group companies. But later on, he took over various companies step by step. So what was the hurdle which he faced when his career started in India in the Tata Group?
See, he started his career in 1962. It's a huge book. There are so many instances. He started as a trainee in Jamshedpur. Let me tell you something very fascinating about this man. He had no privileges when he was training in Jamshedpur in Telco. What they did was they gave him a dealer's hostel room which did not even have an attached toilet. So he had to use the common toilet and he wanted to bring his car. The MD said, no, you cannot bring your car. So what did they do? They said, you buy a bicycle. And a defiant man, he says, no. If I'm not allowed to get my car, and I will walk. And he walked to his office every day just like an ordinary apprentice. That's how he started. And then in the steel, that is Tisco, now Tata Steel, he trained on the shop floor like any other trainee. And he was asked to shovel coal into the furnaces. And that is how he started, right from the shop floor, and he worked hard and climbed the ladder to the topmost position as Chairman Tata Sons.
So probably it took him about 30 years before he started. He became the head of Tata Sons in 1991.
That's right.
So when he became the head of Tata Sons, there were a few facts which came up to him, and he came to know that the Tata Group of companies were not actually owned by Tata Sons. There were a lot of other investors who had invested in these Tata Group of companies. So how did he took that step to consolidate the Tata Group, Tata shares, Tata investment in these group companies, so that the actual ownership comes to this Tata Group only?
See, let me put it like this to you. It's a very, as a chartered accountant, you will enjoy it. I don't know if others would enjoy these kind of details. But let me tell you one thing. When he took over, I'll just put it like this to you. When he took over the major, as Chairman Tata Sons, it had several companies as it has now. It has a total number of about 100 odd companies, out of which 28 are listed. Listed means which are in the stock exchange. Let me tell you something very fascinating which is less understood. When he took over the Tata Sons chairman, it is strange that Tata Sons, which is a holding company, had less stakes in some of the Tata companies like Tata Steel than Birla had. To put it differently, Birla had more ownership of Tata Steel than Tata Sons itself. That is something which came out of the research, and I've said it in much greater detail. So what he did was he started increasing the stakes of Tata Sons in these companies, and that's how he built the Tata Group and brought in a lot of cohesion in it.
So when he took over Tata Sons, there were a lot of disparate group of companies with no such common goal and objective. So what made Ratan Tata realize that now he has to take certain bold steps? And probably that should be a lesson learned by a lot of companies and a lot of owners, that how do they want to lead their company. So what were the major steps taken by him to consolidate Tata Group and bring back them to the lead run?
See, there are several, this is pure strategic session, maybe for an MBA class, but
Yeah.
I'll just tell you something. He had what is called a restructuring program. The restructuring program had 11 components in it. And some of these components were mutually reinforcing, so that these companies would become vibrant, would become strong, and their performance would be benchmarked to the best in the world. Just to give an example. If, let's say, Tata Motors produced a car, Mr. Tata used to tell the company officials, don't look at the car from an Indian customer's point of view, look at it from a foreigner's point of view, and give the Indian customer the best which a foreigner can drive. So that's the benchmarking he did. And he said, never follow, do things in a manner that you can innovate and become leaders in your own field. That was his clarion call.